Good evening, my name is Garrett, and welcome to The Last Call. Tonight's final drink is Suntory Toki. This is a blended Japanese whiskey coming in at 43% ABV, no age statement, but this is a blend of several of the distilleries coming together and creating a pretty good introduction to what Suntory is. Now, full statements on this one. This is the reason, this bottle, not this specific one, but this whiskey is the reason this channel exists. My first time experiencing Suntory Toki, well, I bought a bottle of it because I was like, everyone's talking about Japanese whiskey right now. I want to jump on the bandwagon. And I jumped on and I bought this because it was what I could find somewhat locally to me. And I fell in love. And it made me start seeing whiskey differently after trying it. So it's always going to have a special place in my heart. Just full disclosure on that. But Suntory Toki is just a beautiful representation of what a blended, true Japanese whiskey can be. I love their bottle here. I love the square shape to it. It stands out. Just simple. It's got that little bit of a classic look to it. And it does a pretty solid job showcasing that spirit inside. So as always, we're going to be trying this two different ways. First way, neat, no ice, no water. Second way, we'll add a couple drops of water. See if anything mixes up. Did go screw cap on this, not cork. Two imaginary points taken away for that. I just love this color though. This, I don't even have to describe it. You guys can see it. Beautiful light golden color. Very, very pale. Very, very pale. Actually, it almost, I don't have it sitting next to me anymore. I more recently did Terramana tequila. And it reminds me of a very similar color to that. Maybe not as pale, but pretty darn close. But just a beautiful light pale color there. Let's go for notes. Fruit sweetness, like grapefruit note. Very light ABV on the nose. A little bit of oak there. A little sweetness. But I pull up just a nice, almost white grape quality. Like just that, or green grapes, I should say, not white grapes. The color, green grape, that very pale color grape. Just a nice light floral note. A little sweet, a little floral going on. Like just a nice simple field of wildflowers. No real standout note in the floral, but just nice light and floral. Again, I get a little bit of that tartness of like a grapefruit or a sweet tart grapefruit there. Okay, let's go for taste. A little maltiness on the taste. Beautiful oak note in there. That sweetness comes through. A little dry on the finish. But it maybe just driving by at 55 miles an hour, a little bit of smoke. Just the faintest little bit of an ashy smoke note. But a little fruit, like a mixed fruit note in there. That sweetness comes through very well. I love that oak note. It's a very subtle oak. It's not overpowering, nice and simple. That bit of fruit sweetness is coming through, a little bit of vanilla. But overall, and it's that little wisp of smoke. A little ashiness going on. Very, very just approachable. And just one of those flavor profiles that I personally think is super, super great to introduce into Japanese whiskeys. And the finish is, it's not here to party. It kind of shows up a little bit, says hi, says bye, and it's on its way. But you're left with just a little bit of sweetness in there, and I love that. Okay, let's add a little bit of water, see if anything changes up. Now I've got some other Suntory and Japanese whiskeys that I'll link up above and down below for you. I've done the Suntory Harmony. I've done several Nika bottles. Japanese whiskeys are a pretty big staple right now, and people are really looking to Japanese whiskey for what they can do. And this is a prime example, especially fairly accessible, and we'll get to that later, but pretty accessible for the most part. And approachable. Again, that's where I think it really shines, as is approachability. Dials back on that fruit note a little bit more, but that grapefruit is still showing up. It turns a little more vanilla sweetness in there. ABV really doesn't show up at all still. It's teetering a little bit, almost like vanilla cream quality on the nose now. Yeah, just a little bit. It's like walking that line, and it's swaying a little bit to that vanilla cream. Still more vanilla, but every now and again it's getting a little bit of that vanilla cream in there. A little bit of that wood note in there as well. That's a nice. The floral note is very, very far away now. Like I'm driving in the next county and I can tell there's a wildflower somewhere. Very light on that. Let's go for taste. Woo! Gets a little warm. The ABV is showing up a little bit more on that. Wow. Oak is really dominating right now. That oak is in it goes oak, and it's still changing here. Hold on. Let me So oak, and then it get a little bit of that dry fruit note in there, and then like almost floral honey sweetness, and then oak again. The oak note is definitely punching up a notch. And I will have to say that the ABV does show up pretty strong on that. That little bit of water just really made it a little angry. Yeah. 110%. The angry meter on this is like I'd say on a scale of 1 to 5 is like a 1.25, if that. This dialed up to like a 2.5, 3. That oak note is definitely strong. That alcohol note is strong. But that it's almost got that tanginess that a grapefruit has. You don't get much of that grape note I was getting earlier. But it's definitely like my mouth is tingling from the alcohol oak note. Wow, that is really potent. Woo! Yeah. Okay. If I had to pick, as always, it doesn't matter what you drink or how you drink it, as long as you enjoy it, neat's the better way. Wow, that's really powerful. Okay, let's talk about market price. Because we all know market price is market price. I picked this up in my area for about $35. I've seen it go as low as, $31, $30. Online, I've seen it go as high as $40. I don't think that's a bad, as right now with how Japanese whiskeys are pricing. It's fairly accessible from what I'm seeing. I see a lot of liquor stores in Indiana have this. And I have the mindset if I can find this in Indiana, I could probably find it most locations, because Indiana really we're not known for our palates. All jokes aside, seems fairly accessible. I will say that definitely the neat version is a better representation of its note quality versus the water. And I think that in that $35 range, it's not a bad one. I usually keep a bottle of this around to really introduce people to Japanese whiskeys. I think it's a good introduction, and it allows you to not break your pocket buying Hibiki Harmony or any of the other, any of the Nikas, the single malts. the Yochi or Miyagikyu, this is, half the cost, if not, 2-3 times as the less cost comparatively. So yeah, there you have it, Suntory Toki. If you have any questions about the bottle, feel free to ask down in the comment section below. I'll do my best to answer that. And if you have any specific spirits I should take a look at, also let me know down in the comment section below. Always on the hunt for something new and tasty to try. And as always, may your last drink of the night be the best one.